Hey, Kenneth, how you doing, brother?
Good. How are you?
I'm very well, sir. Thank you for asking.
Congratulations. The new album is fantastic.
Thank you very much, brother. It's great to hear, man. We've been obviously working on it for a while now, and it's great stuff to get opinions from people like yourselves who listen to it for the first time and tell us they love it. It's a great feeling, man.
I would just like to say, please pass along my best to Glenn Tipton. I'm one of his biggest fans. He was actually one of the reasons I started playing guitar. So hope everything's cool. Positive vibes all the way out there to Judas Priest land.
I'll definitely let him know, man. I mean, we're getting a lot of love and support for Glenn and the band at the moment, and he's not a big internet guy, you know, so every now and then we'll have to relay the information. So I'll definitely do that for you.
Thank you. All right, let's talk about this. How is this going to work now that you've got a new guitar player on the tour? Who's doing which parts?
Well, for the most part, we're keeping it, Andy will be doing most of Glenn's parts, and I'll be doing, for the classic songs, I'll be doing KK's parts, and for the newer songs, my own parts, which is basically the same as we did on the Redeemer tour. I'll be taking some of the load off of Andy, some of the solos and stuff. But for the most part, he's going to be playing most of Glenn's stuff, It's going to be interesting. And Andy has said as well that he's by no means the new guitar player. He's fitting in for Glenn, he's flying the flag for Glenn and helping out Priest. And I think that's a noble attitude for someone to have, They don't want to come in and take over. They want to come in and provide support for their hero as well, like you said earlier, Glenn was to you. He's a hero to me. He's even more of a hero now knowing him personally in that capacity. And it's the same for Andy. He loves Glenn, he loves the band, and he's there showing his support. And when Glenn comes back, or if he chooses to come and do some songs with us, Andy's going to be more than supportive to have him up there. So it's a noble attitude to have, and an attitude, I think, that makes you realize you've got the right guy.
Now, speaking of that, you were a Priest fan before you joined the band. What kind of influence did they have on you and your playing when you were young?
Massive. I think that to the point where I don't think I really realized it until I got into the situation. I think that they were one of the bands that I looked to for how to create songs. How were they making like an emotional statement with heavy guitars and harmony guitars and clean guitars? How were they connecting that emotional sentiment with music? So they were definitely one of those bands. And growing up playing around London in cover bands, you always played Priest. You always played Sabbath, Priest, UFO, Maiden. They were a staple diet of the gigging rock guitarist. You know what I mean? So in ways that I couldn't even fathom, I think when you get into a situation like this, it's all part of your musical makeup. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to put on a different hat to perform Judas Priest music or write Judas Priest music. It's part of your musical makeup, and I think that's one of the reasons why it's worked so well for us. We get on very well, first of all, and musically we're on the same page. We come from the same background like Jimi Hendrix and Rory Gallagher, guitar-wise, I'm talking about. So I think all those things come into play and just, that it worked out for the best because of all those elements.
How intense was it, though, the first time you jammed with them?
It was, you know what, man, it was pretty laid back. They're a group of guys, they're laid back guys, down to earth guys. They created a very welcoming and very relaxed atmosphere. So it was immediately comfortable. It was immediately integrated into the family, and you felt it straight away, man. You're included, your opinions asked for and valued, and it's just been an extension of that ever since.
That's amazing.
It really is, man. I mean, we have ideas of our favourite bands as fans, and we hope it's like something on the inside, but when you get on the inside and it's even better, it surpasses all your expectations. As I said, man, they were heroes before I joined, and they're even more heroes after I joined. When you get to see them personally and the way they do things and the passion they have for the fans and the metal, it's just inspiring.
That's so cool. One more question before I get to the new album. I saw you guys in Korea on the Epitaph tour.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that was supposed to be your last world tour.
I know. I joined at the farewell tour, and people, journalists were asking me, isn't that kind of a silly time to be joining a band? And I said, well, to me, there's never a bad time to join Judas Priest anyway. But, it seems to have, that seems to have not been the farewell tour. So I can see how it happens though, man. We go out on the Epitaph tour, for example, playing to fantastic fans in fantastic countries around the world, and it fires you up to write more material. So you go and write more material, which in turn fires you up to play it live. So you go out and play it live on the Redeemer Tour, and the cycle begins again. You know, you get inspired by these fans and these countries and these songs to go and write new ones. So now we've got firepower, and the cycle begins again. So you can see how it happens when you put it like that. You know, so. I'm glad Judas Priest is still around, and I'm fortunate and proud to be a part of it. So long may it continue.
I hope so. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the show on the 25th, March 25th. I'll see you in Ottawa. It's actually very cool. The first time I saw Priest was in the same building that you're playing in this time here with the new tour. So
that's amazing. So it's the same venue. I'll tell you what's fun for me. You know, you saw those the VHS tapes of Priest back in the 80s, and there were people outside with pickets, like the picket protesters with the signs saying it's the devil's music, burn the records and stuff. And to be honest, we went to a place, I can't remember where it was, but those picketers were outside, and it was like you just said, like the first time you saw them in Ottawa, and you're seeing the band there again. It's like going back in time sometimes, you know, and it was totally cool for me to see the picketers out the front. It kind of, you know, they're a historic band, man, and they've created history, been a part of history, and they're continuing to make good metal and music with the best, you know, the best of their ability. And I think that's an amazing thing and an inspiring thing to be a part of.
And that's what amazed me when I first put on the new album. The first track has that classic Rob scream, and so it really did take me back to when I was 13, 14 years old. I think this record is connecting with people because it has those references to classic Priest, but also it's not resting on the laurels of classic Priest. It's forging forward with an intensity and a vibrance that, Priest is famous for as well. You know, in 83, 84, it was Screaming for Vengeance, Defenders of the Faith. It was, forging forward. In 2018, it's a different sounding record, but that heart of pushing forward and forging forward in new metal is the same. It's intact, and I think that's what people are picking up on. Absolutely. So take us through the writing process for something like this. First of all, how has your songwriting in particular changed since Redeemers of Souls? It's a great question, and it's hard to answer objectively. I mean, you create things, think of things, but you're always striving to challenge yourself musically, how to, as I said before, how to emote different feelings through the music, how to say different things in different ways, in some cases. And from a guitar point of view, it's definitely a journey and a challenge to think about what you're saying. When I was younger, I was always about playing more notes, faster notes. These days, it seems to be about pulling back on the speed and the fastness, but saying just as much, with more melody, or, like David Gilmour or Slash or those sort of players, they contain messages in the melody. So it's all about that kind of thought process. Sometimes you blaze off and do some pyrotechnics on a guitar. Sometimes you pull back and say something a bit more with fewer notes. So it's definitely a challenge from that respect. Yeah, that's what I noticed. And I wrote that I put up a review yesterday. And one thing I wrote down was, there seems to be no wanking for wanking's sake. Oh, that was you, was it? That's fantastic. I reposted that. I thought that was a great review. Oh, thank you. But yeah, that's the one thing I noticed is it wasn't just full on note after note after note. It was very tasty, beautiful sound on your solos. And just everything fit the song perfectly. I appreciate you saying that, man. It means a lot that you noticed. I mean, I've noticed over the years that if you, as you said, wanking for wanking's sake is great, but I find that it doesn't connect with as many people as saying something for a reason. And if the reason is wanking and fast and fiery, then fine. But if it doesn't call for that, it doesn't connect in the same way. If you go to a Pink Floyd concert and David Gilmour is playing, Wish You Were Here, that's a prime example of how to connect the emotion with the audience. And I think that's a powerful thing and something that I definitely was striving for as a guitar player on this record. And you succeeded. And your sound is incredible. Were you using your signature guitars on this one?
I was, yeah. I used it on a few songs. There's a few songs on this record which are in drop D tuning, and I used it on that. I think there's about 3 or 4 songs that are in drop D. I used the signature Flying V on that one, and on most of the others, on the rhythm tracks, I used an old 1976 Les Paul Custom, which I've been using for years. It's been one of those guitars that's been with me on a lot of tours, a lot of countries around the world, and it just has that, I don't know, the ability to translate what I'm feeling into the speakers, so I use that on a lot of it as well.
Yeah, and the sound you get is just incredible. Another thing I really noticed that I really liked is the harmonies. You guys use a lot of harmonies in the solos. Well, even before that, I want to mention the KK thing that came up yesterday, just to clarify something. Did Glenn play on all of this album?
I think that anyone that questions that, I don't think that should even be a question in anyone's mind. I don't think Glenn Tipton and Judas Priest would ever do anything to undermine the integrity of what they've done for the past 50 years or what the fans have given to them for the past 50 years. So, in short, Glenn Tipton played all his parts on this record. That's kind of the last word in it, you know what I mean? Not that it's my word, but that's the answer, and that's the truth. I know Ken insinuated that, and then he's kind of backtracked a little bit and said that that's not what he meant, but we all knew what the insinuation was. But to be honest with you, it's all a storm in a teacup, you know what I mean? I think the main thing here is that, Priest are creating music 50 years on. We've got a great album ready to be released, and that's what we're focused on, you know what I mean? And Glenn was 1,000% of that, like he always has been.
Okay, so I'm guessing that all those harmony riffs that you guys are pulling off, that's him, right? Because he goes way back with those. He kind of invented that.
Well, it's both of us. They were definitely, you had bands like Priest, Thin Lizzy, Wishbone Ash, Iron Maiden later on, doing those dual harmonies. So you're right, he's like the godfather, or one of the godfathers, along with KK, with that kind of style. And of course he comes up with them, and he plays them, and I do the same. It kind of allows me the same, I can now do those things because I'm in the band, if you know what I mean. So it's great creatively for me to be able to express those kind of ideas in the band. And, as we get, the result of that is this great musical texture that is the Priest harmony guitar sound.
And the other thing I noticed was Scott Travis. I don't know if you saw that in my review, but he makes me want to be a drummer even though I've never played the drums.
I did see that, and I know exactly what you mean, man. This record, the producers wanted us to get in a room and play together, rehearse the songs, refine the songs together, and basically capture the energy in the room. And Scott was such a massive part of that energy, as you can hear on the record. If you're standing in a room playing guitar and Scott Travis is playing, doing those kind of techniques and that kind of feeling, you can't not be inspired and fired up by that. I totally get where you're coming from, man. He's phenomenal. He's got everything. He's got power, speed, finesse, taste, groove. He's got everything.
That's the thing I noticed was the groove. He's got a serious groove on him.
He's the same way in drumming as I try to be with a guitar player. He's not wanking for wanking's sake. He's the first guy to not necessarily pull back, but to introduce a bit more finesse and dynamic in a part, which then just makes the next fiery part sound even more intense. So he's just got, and he's a huge Les Binks fan who used to be in Priest, and Les Binks was a master at that dynamic, and Scott contains all that, and then the ferocity and the speed in his feet. It's just inspiring to be a part of.
It almost doesn't seem possible when I listen to it.
Dude, I know, and sometimes, it's great. Sometimes, I hope he doesn't mind me saying this, but Scott sometimes, we've put a song idea, and it challenges him as a drummer, and I think he relishes that challenge, and he'll keep going until he gets it, or makes up the drum part, which he's happy with, that contains the groove, the finesse, the power, and, the technical ability that he has. Once he's got it, and he might be a challenge for him sometimes, but once he gets it, he's an absolute bulldozer of a drummer, man. I can't say enough about him. He's a great guy too.
A bulldozer. That's awesome. And then finally, the original guys, Ian and Rob. What is the deal with Rob? He just keeps getting more aggressive and more powerful every album.
I don't know what it is. And I tell you what, man, I've followed him around at shows before a show, trying to work out what his secret schedule is. You know, what does he do before he goes on stage? What magical elixir is he taking before he goes on stage? And dude, he does nothing. He has a cup of tea, he goes out on the stage, and he slays it every night, you know. And I agree with you. I think he's just getting better and better. He's going from strength to strength in terms of, lyrical content, performance. He embodies the songs live, and he performs the songs. So to call Rob Halford a singer is an understatement. Rob Halford is so much more than a singer. It's an inspiration to see and be a part of.
Well, that's why he's called the metal god.
Absolutely, man. You don't get more godly than him.
Absolutely. And Ian Hill.
Ian Hill, man. Ian Hill was such a big part of this record, dude. Again, from playing in the room with him, you know, like we do every night on stage, you know, when you're playing these new songs, Ian puts down the most obnoxious, deep rumbling bass sounds that's ever come out of this planet. You know what I mean? I tell you what, and it's just inspiring. He's such an easygoing guy. I don't think people realise how good of a bass player he is when he puts those little tasteful fills in there and little notes. It's magic. It's magic, and he really is the glue that holds this band together, man. He's phenomenal.
I would say he's probably the most underrated metal bass player going.
I would say that too. I think anyone that knows Priest and they know bass, they appreciate Ian for what he does. You know what I mean? I think everyone's well aware of the role that he plays in the band and how great he is. But maybe people outside of that, people that are not bass players or not that maybe tuned into the band, they maybe wouldn't know. So I think you're right, he's underrated. But people that know, we know.
So let's move on to the tour. You're starting, in about 2 weeks. You're heading out with Saxon and...
Black Star Riders.
Black Star Riders. It's going to be a great night, holy. How many songs from the new album are you going to be playing?
Well, it's always a dilemma, man. I mean, Priest has got 18 studio albums now. It's got to be an average of 10 songs per record. There's 180 songs to choose from, give or take, you know?
Right.
So it's always a dilemma. If we can't have a set list that's 180 songs long, I'd love to do it, to be honest, but we'd be there all week. But, so it's always a careful balance of new songs, old songs, classic songs, deep cuts, and then you've got, the Another Thing Comings, the Breaking the Laws, the Painkillers, and, the staple Priest classic that you've got to put in, and they're going to raise the roof, that's what we all love about Priest. The interesting thing about this go-round is that the album seems to be being received so well, we might be able to introduce new songs as we go into the tour. The more people get familiar with the record, maybe we can put in some new songs as the tour progresses. So, we can change it up for Europe, we can change it up for South America. And it would be great to get more and more new songs into the set, but obviously we realise the value of the classics as well. But we'll see. It's an exciting time. We never know how it's going to end up.
Well, I'm hoping for No Surrender.
Oh, really? That's interesting. It's such a immediate headbanger, you know what I mean? It's like that inclusive anthem-y chorus. And again, it contains that Priest message of no surrender, don't give up, push forward, face challenges, all that positive stuff. I think it's a great thing to be a part of, again. Yeah,
and that's the one that when I listened to the album straight through, I was thinking, yeah, this is the one. This is, there's always that one song that just kicked your ass. And that was the one for me.
That's the beauty of a Priest record. That's the beauty of, our fan base as well. I know what it's like to be a part of. We listen to all these songs and we all connect with different ones. I could have a conversation with someone else and they'll say, the one for me was Rising from Ruins. I'll talk to another guy or girl and she'll say, oh no, it was Lightning Strike for me. But it's that Priest character. Everyone's got their own favourites and they connect with different songs in different ways. It's a beautiful thing to listen to, people's opinion. And they're so, dedicated to their opinion, like, no, man, this is the one. You know what I mean? It's just great to see people do that and be so committed to it.
Well, when you've been around as long as Priest has, you've got those people. You know, it's not like a first time anyone's ever heard this, so they know what
Priest is only around for this long because of those people.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That can never be taken for granted, man. 50 years this band's been going, and it's because of the fans. The fans are the lifeblood of any band, and we'll never take that for granted, and that's why we always give 1,000%, and we're looking forward to giving 1,000% on the Firepower tour. Dude, it's the Priest family. They mean so much to all of us.
Yeah, I'm so excited about this. I mean, when was Epitaph? About 6 years ago? 5 years ago? The tour?
Epitaph was 2011.
Yeah, so 6, 7
Yeah, and Redeemer was 2014-15, so we haven't been out on the road for about 2 years now. Right. So we're fired up, man. We're raring to go.
Now, you talked about deep cuts.
You don't think I'm going to tell you what they are, do you?
Well, your suggestions if you're listening. But how do you decide which deep cuts that you want to play? Because, like you said, you can't please all the people all the time. But there's so many.
You've got to change it up. You've got to change it up. You've got to do something. You've got to create a different experience to the last one. And, you know, in the last tour, we might have missed out some people's favourites, and we've included some other people's favourites. So this time we've changed it up. We might include some other people's favourites. So I will say there's a lot of songs on this upcoming set that I haven't played with the band so far. So in the 7 years since I've been with the band, the 2 world tours I've done, there's a lot of this set list which I haven't played. There's a few songs on there which I'm excited to play for the first time with the band. So I can say that. So we're going to be changing it up a bit. There's going to be obviously 3 or 4 new ones. There's going to be some songs I haven't played and some songs that I have. So it's going to be, you know, again, like it always is, it's going to be a celebration of the old and the new and the future.
Killing Machine is the one that I was hoping for.
Dude, we suggested Killing Machine. Killing Machine was on the table in rehearsals, and I think me and Scott Travis jammed it. I think Ian was with us. But for some reason or another, it didn't stick. Maybe we can reapproach it later on and bring it out for another leg of the tour. But I would love to do that song. It's got such a swagger, such a groove, man. That I don't think Priest ever had that same swagger in any other song. They had different swaggers, obviously, but it's a pretty unique song. I love it. But I'm going to take what you're saying as confirmation that we should be doing it, and I'll reapproach it again. So maybe we'll do Killer Machine in the future.
Well, as long as you get it for March 25th.
I'll do my best, man. I'll do my best.
Awesome. I don't know how to thank you for this. This is, you know, growing up with Judas Priest, and you know, this is such a thrill for me. I mean, I know I'm supposed to be the journalistic guy and whatever. I'm a fan, and this has been very special. So thank you so much.
Dude, I appreciate that, man. I know exactly what this band means to millions of people around the world, you know, myself included. So I know how exciting it is. And Priest are legendary because of that. And I think the way they treat their fans, the way they approach their performances and their recordings. And I think, you know, again, I'll reiterate it. It's because of the fans that this band is still around. And we'll never take that for granted. So we're looking forward to seeing everyone very, very soon. And I'll put in a word for Killing Machine, man. Don't worry.
Oh, please. Good luck with the beginning of the tour.
Thank you very much, man. Looking forward to seeing you.
Yeah, I'll be there. Have a good one.
All right, mate. Take care now. It's a pleasure. Bye now.